Right. Greetings, Zimbabwe. Welcome to Zimbabwe Daily. My name is Yvonne Mchaka. And today we continue with our 16 days of activism against gender based violence. So it's 16 days essentially so that we amplify the voice to say we must stop gender based violence in every facet of our society, be it at home, be it at school, be it in the workplace, be it in national leadership. So today we've got a special focus on education, the education sector. So we hear from the United Nations Education Fund that worldwide an estimated 246 million children experience school-related violence every year. Unequal gender norms and power relations are a key driver of this violence, manifesting itself as bullying, physical abuse, corporal punishment, sexual and verbal harassment, non consensual touching, and other forms of sexual assault. School related gender based violence is a serious barrier to achieving universal education. Joining me in the studio today, we have beautiful ladies who are going to help me generate this discussion around school related gender based violence. All right, so we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll introduce our guests. All right, so welcome back. Once again, this is Zimbabwe Daily. If you're just joining us, we're coming to you live from our studios right here in Harare, in Zimbabwe. So, what we want to do is to introduce the guests that we have in the studio today, starting on my right. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Sugonu Ndlovu. I am a teacher by profession. I come representing the union Amalgamated Rural Teachers of Zimbabwe. I'm the chairperson for Matabele North and the acting gender secretary. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sue. We also have a student. We also want to hear the voice of the students in the fight against GBV. Introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. I'm Lorraine Wimbai Munemo, a student at UZ. I'm studying sociology.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me. So I think to start off with, I'll start with our student. Tell us what you know about gender-based violence.
Okay, thank you. Gender-based violence is a phenomenon based on the violation of human rights, which can lead to so many problems, such as death. Gender-based violence can lead to death of people. It can lead also to devastation, yes, in the societies. Both men and women experience gender-based violence, but the majority of the victims are women and girls.
Yeah, and this is the sad reality that we face. But I think I like the fact that you raised that men are also affected by gender-based violence. I'll also hear from you, Sue, in terms of the constituency that you're representing and the spaces that you are occupying in Matabeleland and stuff like that. When we speak about school-related gender-based violence, what comes to your mind?
Okay, thank you. When I'm looking at actually the constituency in Matabeleland, where I come from, gender-based violence is rampant in that places, and young girls, especially young girls, even boys, I can say, and women at large are at the receiving point in terms of different types of gender-based violences that can be that are just what can I say?
Prevalent.
That are prevalent in the society. We see young girls, they are forced into early marriages because of this, and because we are saying it is especially where I come from, it's a mining area. So girls are lured because of money, because maybe there are shortcomings at home, so they are lured into money, and then they have to endure any kind of violence because they are in need of what of
Mm.
material things that they can use. So we see they suffer, they are quiet, they don't say anything. Even if they say anything, some of the follow-ups are not even what no one follows up on such matters. So they take it as something that is normal for anyone to violate them anyhow.
Wow, you raised some very interesting and serious issues emanating, especially the rural areas, because there's no spotlight on them. But I think maybe this is an opportunity that we have as we are commemorating the 16 days to begin to raise alarm and to raise awareness on these areas. You know, we are talking about rural Matabeleland, and you said something that I really touched me, and that the children can actually suffer at the hands of abusers, but will not know what to do with that because either no one is able to make a follow up, or they don't even know that they're being violated because of poverty, essentially. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They do not know. They think that it's normal for them to experience such. So at the end of the day, they don't have anyone to report to. They just take it as it comes, and then they make it a normality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah, and in your university, and obviously there are some activities, clandestine activities. I think I mentioned earlier when we were just talking that I watched a documentary from Kenya and Nigeria where ladies were being asked for sexual favor for grades. Now, how prevalent is that in our Zimbabwean context?
That issue is very relevant because as a student, just because I want to pass, I can do transactional sex in order to satisfy whether the lecturer or the supervisor. Not just because I want it, but I just want to pass. Because there will be so many threats behind that.
Yeah.
If I get threatened, I easily get in. On the issue of assignments, the lecturer can also say, let's have sex for you to pass, or else you're going to fail. Just because I want to pass, I want to graduate, I will end up doing that in order to satisfy that lecturer. In a way of reporting, I can't, just because I know that I don't have so much support, and the fear of the unknown, the issue of threat, just because the lecturer can tell me I can sue you. Just because I don't know my rights as a student, I end up engaging in that, which will end up disadvantaging me later
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah, because sometimes it's easier to dismiss certain things just because they've never really happened to you, or because you've not experienced it. But this is a reality that we are facing, and I'm sure that with more education and more enlightenment, especially with our girl children, I'm sure we'll be able to get to a point where all of this will stop. Because you raise an important issue about being unable to speak out, being unable to go and report. Like, the reporting structures may be there, but as a student, you are afraid. If I report, what if it's a cartel? What if they know each other? This is what we do. Now, what are some of the fears that the girls in university have? I mean, you're already in university, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So why are you afraid to speak out? Because we're training you to be, leaders in the society. So the first person to lead anyone is to lead yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The fear comes from most of the girls are uneducated, just because people are still believing in the basic education of girls.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are being discriminated, but not knowing that the education of women and girls is also important. Just because the country's development also need women's education. Without that, in the future we have uneducated mothers,
Okay.
uneducated girls. If I am an educated mother, what can I teach my children? I'll just encourage them to drop out of school,
Yeah.
and they will be abused, and they do not know their rights. On the issue of this can be prevented through these campaigns. It doesn't mean that it will end totally,
Yeah.
but the cases
Will lower.
yes.
Yeah, clearly, because I think that is a real key issue, and that's the reason why, globally they've seen it fit for us to have these 16 days of commemoration, because we want to put these issues on the fore so that society is educated, our communities are educated, our girls are educated. Now, coming to you, as teachers, right? I mean, you're the ones who are asking for sex for grades. We've also seen an upsurge of sexual abuse in the church, in the schools by teachers, with their students. We also noticed recently with the COVID-19, the teachers saying they're incapacitated, and our children ended up just, being wild. Yeah, what do you have to say about that kind of I don't know what to call it, because I think it's like we are going around in circles. We are pushing for something, and society is experiencing something else. Is it a policy issue? Is it what needs to be done?
Okay, thank you. On that manner, we're saying the education is very strict on child-teacher relationships, but we cannot run away with people. They just indulge in that. But what we are saying, but I think I'll commend the Minister of Education. If a teacher is found to be in a relationship with a learner, it's an instant dismissal from work. No way where you can start practicing again here in Zimbabwe. So we are saying now the issue of children going wild. It's unfortunate that the children were caught up in the crossfire between the fight from of the government and the teachers. And it was set a set scenario, seeing those children going wild, doing all those sex videos and actually abusing each other on their own. And yes, so now we are saying that to avoid such a thing, but the government should look at and put the children's needs at first. How? By remunerating the teachers, they want a living wage.
Yeah.
That's what we are saying. If we were at school, nothing like of that sort used to happen. We were able to control the learners. But now, just because of this fight, it's said that the children were now we're now caught in between the fight. So we cannot run away in saying that learners are not getting involved with teachers. They are. In those cases, some of those cases, they go unreported or unnoticed. And sometimes you find out that maybe a teacher impregnates a schoolgirl, especially in rural areas where I work, it's a common thing. The parents of the girls, they protected the teacher. Why? Because maybe the teacher promised them, runs and protects them, move the kid. I remember of a scenario that happened at a school where I teach. A teacher impregnated a young girl. The girl, then
How old was the girl?
she was in Form 3 at around 15 years then. And then when we tried to go on to follow up on the issue, then the issue was just the grandmother was just adamant, saying nothing like that happened. The child is born to her mother in some other place, but only to hear from the whispers from the people that actually the girl is being rented to at a certain house in town. But it's if the grandmother denies, there's nothing more we can do. Yes, so those are the issues. And then we personally in the education system, we cannot report anyway. It's the parents. We just take the steps in conducting the relevant stakeholders. Maybe we've got a case like this, they take it further. But when the parents or the guardians do not cooperate, there's nothing we can do. But we are actually we've been trying by all means, getting help from other stakeholders to try and educate the girls to know their rights, even the boys to know their rights and what to do whenever they are faced with such situations.
All right. Thank you so much, Sue, for that. I think we want to look into some of these issues that are happening in our communities, especially around school-related gender-based violence. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this discussion. Awesome. Thank you. Welcome back. We are coming to you live from our Zim Daily studios. If you have got any questions, any comments, do feel free to come through on our platform. We are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're also on YouTube. So do subscribe on our YouTube channel, do follow us on Twitter, and also like us on our Facebook page. And let's continue to have these conversations that build our communities. At the end of the day, it is our Zimbabwe, it is our children, and it is our future. In the studio, I'm joined by Sue and Lorraine. Lorraine is a student at the University of Zimbabwe. Sue is gender secretary, acting gender secretary in the ARTUZ, Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union of Zimbabwe. Got that right?
Yes.
Awesome. So you raised a sad scenario, like the involvement of parents in making sure that SRGBV cases do not go unreported. Now, how do we get the parents? Because of poverty, I think you raised you raised some key elements, because maybe the teacher is now providing for the family of the abused child. We don't take it as abuse anymore. It becomes mkwasha wedu. So it's okay because he's able to provide. But how do we get the parents, how do we get the guardians conscientized enough to know that abuse is abuse and we need to protect our children?
Okay, thank you. From the, I think the most important thing is that at first, I think we approach the local government, that is the Sopukus, the chiefs on that
Yeah.
district. If we educate them further, I think they are the rightful people to disseminate the information to the community. And if because most of the time they tend to listen to them, and actually even sensitize them, having workshops to sensitize the parents, they should not agree to such acts. I think that is a step that we can take in actually maybe in reducing the numbers of such cases. Yes.
And in terms of university outlook, because I know that it's not just at UZ, we also have various universities across the country. Now, what do you think needs to be done from the administration right down to the students' board so that we eliminate, because I think we don't need to reduce, we need to eliminate completely the aspect of gender-based violence in universities.
Okay. There's need for education. Just to
You see, when you say there's need for what kind of education? Because we're dealing with professors, right, and doctors and PhD holders, all of those degreed people in the university. Who needs to be educated? And what kind of education are we talking about?
the students need to be educated on how to defend themselves, on how to stand for their rights, because they have the right to say no. But when it comes to girls, have you ever noticed that if a boy or a man propose to you, if you say no smiling like this, no, you interpret that wrongly, and then they say that a no of a girl is a yes indirectly.
Yeah.
But what does no means? A no, it's a no.
Yeah.
But just because men know that women are weak, just because of our weakness,
They know we are weak or they think we are weak. Which one?
some of the women are weak.
Okay.
They can't stand for their rights.
Yeah, all right.
But some, they are brave enough to stand for their rights. Most of the girls or women in the rural areas, they don't know even their rights.
Okay.
They think that everything that's said by someone who is elder to her, you can't go against it.
Yeah.
You have to dance according to what is said or what he says. Yes.
So we must socialize our kids differently. Because also, you want the children to respect the elders. You want them to, to listen to the words of the grown-ups. So how exactly do we do this education, this sexual and reproductive health education, and this whole gender-based violence kind of how do we do that?
At the present moment, there's been a lot of stakeholders, especially the NGOs, that have been coming to school, trying by all means to educate these young girls and young boys on these issues. I think they've been doing a great job so far because we can see some of the cases are now being reported. Actually, a girl child going alone to report it. And another thing, if I'm looking at that, sometimes we might say the girl child is affected. Actually, even that sometimes the teachers that are having these children are actually at the receiving end of GBV.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be both at the workplace or even at home. But some of them they just they ignore that or that let it pass or they do not voice it out. This thing is actually happening. So sometimes it becomes difficult for them to even help out these children because they're also in the same scenario as those children that we are dealing with. Yes.
Yeah. We need to this year's theme for the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence is fund, respond, prevent, and collect. Now, what do you understand by that? The theme.
Yes.
They say orange the world, fund, respond, prevent, and collect. What does this say to you? What does it mean?
Okay, I think to me it's more like we should as the whole country should actually how can I say base everything or
Like they say fund, right? Fund, respond, prevent, and collect. These are the 4 key terms that they've pushed through on the theme. So in terms of the constituency that you're representing, what would that mean? When they say fund, what are they saying?
I think maybe if you're saying fund, the thing is that you can fund on maybe people or stakeholders who can actually go out there and reach out to deeper communities in trying to educate and maybe in the term what's the next one?
Collect, respond.
Respond and then and see how the people in that certain area respond on term where they respond in natures related to gender-based violence. Yes. The third one
is prevent.
Then we try to conscientize the people on how they can prevent such cases, right? Yes.
And collect.
And then we can collect information in such scenarios. Maybe when they reach out, they can actually see and get and to expose to many things that are happening. So it's a matter of collecting information and things that can help. And even those people that are actually they can even collect information on how they can prevent or where they can go if they are faced with such issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. As students, what does this year's theme mean to you? What does it mean?
Okay. On the issue of funding,
Yes.
there's need for what can I say? The government to see, because some of the children, some of the parents, they do child fostering.
Okay.
And they do not follow up if to see if the child is safe enough.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because some of the children face gender-based violence through child fostering. Yes. And then on the issue of what is it?
Respond.
There is need for positive response. If I report my case, I'll be hoping to hear a positive response, not that I will get a negative response or something to say. You are the one who attracted the guy. Because if you see a guy, a boy, can have sex with a girl, forced sex, right? And then if that that boy
Mm.
is interviewed, he can see that girl was naked or was half naked. So she attracts me.
Mm.
That same boy, why can't we ask him why your sisters also wear things like that, but you do not do the same thing?
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So things like that must be analyzed and see the human behavior. What led to that? Yes.
All right. Now, I want to thank you so much for coming through. Thank you, Pershi, for coming through. I just want to read the question that you asked because I think it's also very fundamental because I think we have had a focus mostly because we're dealing with children and students. We focused on the abuser. But and you raised it when you say the children during the COVID-19 pandemic began to abuse themselves because it was the students who were getting involved, And Titi asked this question: What could have forced the students to be involved in sex videos? And also, what do you think about the issue of giving 12-year-olds contraceptives? So I'll ask you to talk about the students who are making sex tapes.
Some of the sex tapes are recorded unknowingly. On the issue of, for instance, on the university, there's that kind of a relationship called blesser-blessee relationship.
Okay.
Yes. So, okay. So if a blazer come and come and collect me from the campus, and then we go to a lodge. Maybe in that lodge there are cameras, or you already, what can I say, informed the workers at that workplace to put some cameras in the like, while it's in my absence. I don't know anything. Yes.
Could it be that? Oh, because some really socialites and everybody on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all those little social media sites. It's like you are doing it so that you gain popularity or something. You want to raise a profile. People love controversies and stuff like that. Then you produce the sex tapes, guys.
On that issue, is the lack of knowledge. You
On
don't
whose
know
part?
on the girl. Because sometimes you do not know the value of your body. So there is need for education of girls to know their value, to know their value.
Their worth, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that they do not do such things. Some
Sakabasana.
of the people do that
Yeah.
unknowingly,
Okay.
not knowing that they are destroying their reputation.
In their future.
Because if you go to an organization, if you apply for a job and then you go to an organization, sometimes they will see your CV, they will go through your CV and your application, but they know that there is something behind, so they will go to the social media. That's why they know they will get so much information about you, which is different from which is in your CV. Yes.
Yeah, so girls, we need to be a little bit careful because when you then produce that content on social media does not forget. Later on, even when you reform, but that kind of information will always follow you. Now, the second part of Precious' question is, what do you think about the issue of giving 12-year-olds contraceptives to 12-year-olds?
This one is a very, very controversial issue.
Very.
I don't know where to start. It's very difficult. I'll look at it as a teacher-parent perspective.
Yeah.
Yes. On a teacher-parent perspective, it's more like we're not even condoning the young learners engaging in sexual activities. It's like we're actually saying, go out there and have sexual intercourses. But at the same time, we've seen that the number of teenage pregnancies have risen beyond I don't know, and beyond greater heights. So Actually, it's a 50-50 situation. We're saying if it's possible, let's give them so to avoid this what to avoid these these young people getting pregnant at a very tender stage, and they still have a lot in life to offer than being mothers at a very young age. At the same time, I know most parents would disagree with me. You actually encourage them to have but on reality, what is on ground, these children are engaging in sexual activities. So I think it is better we protect them. And even you teach them the use of condom. We're not actually protecting them from having children when they are children, but we're actually protecting them from contracting other diseases that can be found on sexual activities. That made. So yeah.
It's a very controversial thing, and there's always a thin line to everything. So it also gets back to us as parents. What is it that we're teaching our children? I think this becomes conversations that we must actually start having in the home. So we are going to go into our very last segment. Okay, we are coming to you live. So please do send in your questions, your contributions, your concerns. We also want to hear what you think about sexual, we want to hear what you think about school-related gender-based violence. Remember, we are in the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. This should be our talk 365 and a quarter days every day, every year, because we continue to have problems. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we will continue. All right, so welcome back. We are coming to you live from our Zim Daily Studios. Feel free to like our page, follow us on our Twitter account at Zim Daily, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Zim Daily as well. All right, my name is Yvonne Muchaka, and in the studio I have from the Artus, the acting gender secretary, Sue, and also we have a student representative coming from the University of Zimbabwe, Lolo. Now we want to round up our discussion and our conversation around gender-based violence, looking at the education sector. What is it, your very last words, to policymakers, to parents, to teachers, to the students around gender-based violence? Your words.
Okay, what I can say right now is that we, as the amalgamated rural teachers of Zimbabwe, we condone each and every type of gender-based violence. We want a free world where everyone is free, whether it's female or male. So we're saying that we condone any forms of gender-based violence. It can be at work, it can be at home, and it can be in a school setup where teachers and children and the rest of the stakeholders are involved. If there are any cases, we are saying people should not shy away from reporting such cases. They should not shy away from it, or they should not fear victimization. And sometimes people, they get scared of being victimized.
Yeah.
I've reported my headmaster, or I've reported my headmistress, then I'll be victimized. Or even those in the higher position, the GSIs and the PETs, we are saying, please, let's try by all means to speak out. Yes, you maybe your speaking out may help someone else in the future. Thank
All right.
you.
Speak out, speak out, speak out. It's really important because sometimes there are many of you who are keeping quiet just because you think maybe it's just me. It's not just you. There are many of you. So the moment we speak out, we raise awareness. And to you, Lorraine, to your fellow students in university, to your younger ones who want to go to university, to your lecturers, to your principals, what is the message during these 16 days of activism against gender-based violence?
What I can say is, girls, let's stand for our rights, for our human rights. We have the right to report. We have the right to say no, and no one will sue you for that. And there is also need for gender equality, because if you see in schools there is inequality between students, between boys and girls on the issue of curriculum. There's need for equality on that. so that every student, every learner must engage in whichever department or a combination what he or she wants to do. Not saying this is meant for boys, this is for girls. No, everyone must feel free to do whatever he wants or whatever she wants to do.
All right.
Yes.
Right. So let us continue to fight gender-based violence. We don't want inequalities in our education sector because they are drivers in school-related gender-based violence. We spoke about bullying. We spoke about physical abuse, corporal punishment. We also spoke about sex for grades. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much, Lo.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being with you.
Wonderful thing. Oh, so sorry. Sue and Lo. I was looking at you and you're like, okay, I'm not Lo. So, Lorraine, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for joining us on Zim Daily. It was a pleasure having you as we spoke about sexual and reproductive health cases, school-related gender-based violence during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. May we continue the conversations within the four walls of our homes, in our workplaces, and everywhere that we are, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're living in a society that is free and happy. Have a wonderful day, and God bless you.